All right. The Google killer on today's
Wait,
episode of...
how come you asked questions about us and you never asked Chat GPT any question, any joke about a podcaster?
I'll ask that in
Good
a
one.
meanwhile. Or maybe you can do that till the question and introduction is coming. Okay. Rewind, replay. The Google killer. On today's episode of Rocklaz Radio, we are diving into the exciting world of Chat GPT with expert panelist Divit and crypto Dragonis. Sit back and enjoy as we explore the capabilities of Chat GPT and how it's impacting the world and disrupting lives. Stay tuned. We have with us amazing panelists, Crypto Dragonis and Divit. We'll get to them in a moment. Till then, welcome to Rocklaz Radio, your destination for expanding your mind and igniting your curiosity. I am your host, Tanmay Shah, an NFT artist and entrepreneur with diverse business experience. Thank you for tuning in the show every week. If you want to support the show, you can become a patron and collect Rocklaz Club NFTs, which are launching soon. We are even open for advertisements, so do hit me up. And if you want some dope kick-ass art, you can check out my NFTs. I would invite you to join my Twitter spaces, which happen every Saturday. You can connect with the hosts too. All the links are mentioned in the description. In the description, you'll also find timestamps of the episode so that you can skip to the chapter of your interest. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel and share this episode with your friends. Welcome on the talks on Chat GPT. Divit, could you please introduce yourself for us?
Sure. Thanks, Tanmay. And by the way, I'm very excited to know about the upcoming NFTs for Rockland's podcast.
Yes.
So,
they're going to be collectibles. Stay tuned on Twitter to know more about it. A lot of utility also. So, yes, back to you. Tell us more about yourself.
all right. Okay. So I'm basically from India. I'm an IT guy. I started my computer journey in nearly 2000 when the millennium and the whole thing started. The bubble bursted also. So I started with desktop software. If you know, you install some things from CD. So I did that. Then I did a lot of web-based softwares and things. And now I'm working primarily into cloud computing domain. And in past 1 year, you can say I was somehow on a vacation in December 21. And I thought, what's this metaverse? What's this NFT? I started reading, doing courses. So since then, my NFT journey started, and it's 1 year. And very excited to be on your podcast as well and see where this space goes in 2023.
Divit has also a lot of years of experience, 18 plus years of experience in the IT field. So he's always tracking all the new developments in IT and especially ChatGPT. That's why we wanted to hear his alpha insights on these. That's why we have with us Divit. And this is also an exciting show because this is the first time you'll get to see Divit doxed.
Yeah, but for the audience, Divit is not my real name. When I came into the space, I was just trying to have fun and I was not sure it will go that serious. So I just used my gaming name. Divit in Hindu mythology means Shiva, which is immortal. And that's how you want to be in game, especially RPGs and those things. So, but yeah, tech is my, you can say, bread and butter, and it's my passion as well. It keeps me alive. So AI, Chat GPT, super excited about all of them.
Awesome, let's go. And we also have with us Crypto Dragonis. I guess that's also was originally a gaming name. So could you please introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the complete opposite of whatever just Divit described about himself. So in the gist, that's me. But I guess we do come from similar gaming sort of backgrounds. And Caput Dragonis was my gamer name, and which means the head of the dragon. And a few years later, when Web3 and blockchain and crypto happened, it became Crypto Dragonis. And now I just go by Dragonis. Riva is my real name. I'm originally from Singapore, and I've been living in the UAE for about 11 years now. So I'm based out of Dubai. I am a very traditional broadcasting and advertising person. But I think one of the things that really sets me apart is I have always had one foot in arts and the other in tech. So I was always, a misfit. I would never fit into any of the clubs. And every time I was in a creative space, I would speak about tech there. And I was in a tech space, I would speak about arts and creativity. So nobody wanted to be friends with me until Web3 happened. And we kind of see both of these worlds merging together. But I think there could be a little bit more seamless merging that could happen. So I consider myself a bridge between creatives who would want to explore the Web3 space, and also for developers who want to keep building for blockchain and Web3, but they could have a little bit more help with the user experience and user interface, and they need the creatives. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Great. Very excited to have two different perspectives, one from the ad, one from the tech side. Let's go. And there's one common string which attaches all of us, like, apart from art and NFTs, that me too, like the name Rocklaz, I used to use it for gaming. So Rocklaz is a name I coined myself. I'm working on a dictionary name for it, working with Chat GPT on it. So yeah, that's the thing. Okay, let's dive into the topic of the show. So what is Chat GPT and what is the importance of it? Anybody who wants to go ahead.
Dragonis, maybe you start.
I have no idea. I mean, I just use it to have shortcuts and and kind of escape from the grunt work. But I guess for me, ChatGPT is just another evolving tech, emerging tech that I'm very interested in. In the world of advertisers and creators, I think that there's sort of like a very binary approach to looking at ChatGPT. Number one, it's going to steal jobs, and we're all going to be jobless. Then there's no more need for copywriters anymore. There's no more need for art directors anymore. And what are we all going to do? So that's that part of the thing. And the other side is, wow, I don't need to wait for my copywriter to come back from his coffee break. I can just, write copy, and that's what the art director says. And then in comes the very upset copywriter who is like, oh, so you think you can do shit without me, huh? So it's very interesting in the advertising space. But I do believe that this has always happened, like throughout human life, like since probably the first guy who invented fire, or girl who discovered fire. Maybe the other person who did not believe in fire would be saying, oh, so now there's no more raw eating, huh? Now we don't do uncooked food anymore. Now what's going to happen with people who do dishes with uncooked food? Now you just invented fire. So there's always going to be this interesting argument that goes on. But that's kind of my perspective.
Thank you. What do you think, Divit? What is ChatGPT and what is its importance according to you?
Yeah, so see, if we see AI, it is not new, first of all. We have to think in that way. If you are using a smart phone, if you are using, let's say, Google Maps, even if you're using Gmail for simplistic example, so if you now even type, the Gmail actually has trained itself based on the typical responses and the way people interact with each other over email exchanges. So it can autocomplete and write a lot of sentences for you. So you are actually consuming AI. So there is not a lot to hate about it. And again, your smartphone is a living AI device, whether it's Android, whether it's iPhone, because it's learning on your behavior. How do you interact with notification? How do you switch apps? Which kind of apps you stay more time on? And even every app at times has a learning kind of behavior where you are the basically you can say guinea pig or whatever you call it. So they are learning on you. So again, ChatGPT is probably a thing where you really get very hands-on and in a very commoditized way for first time, because AI in general is behind the scenes. Like you use Alexa. Alexa is always learning on you. What do you like? How do you like to interact? What kind of questions people are asking? So it is your personal thing and then a combined worldwide thing how people are consuming, and people say it is even listening to your conversations and learning when even you're not talking also. So there is a lot going on. So ChatGPT, I will say, is first commodity level public access to AI in a conversational manner in very simple terms.
What is, again, I'm so sorry, what does GPT stand for? I actually never Googled that.
I think
Let's ask that too.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, one second. Let me share my screen. There's something interesting I want to show. So to the audience, let me just show you what it looks like. And here we go. Do you see what do you see on your screen? Do you see a Chat GPT browser?
It's loading.
Yeah, it's loading now.
For me.
I
can see
now. Yeah.
So this is Chat GPT, chat.openai.com. This is what the interface looks like when you open it. It's actually a chat bot that you can interact and which has a very human experience kind of thing. So this is, I've done some demos and I want to show you how it works. So for the podcast, I asked ChatGPT to suggest me questions that we can discuss on ChatGPT. So then it gave me a list of 10 questions that we can discuss. And then I was like, can you answer these questions yourself? So then he was like, sure, I'll try to give my best. So this is his answer or their answer for what ChatGPT is and how it works. ChatGPT is a neural network-based language model developed by OpenAI. It uses deep learning techniques to generate human-like text based on inputs it receives. It is trained on massive database of text from the internet and can generate text in a wide range of styles, formats, including conversations, news articles, poetry, and more. So that was, I think, in very simple words, but we will dissect it and dive further in it. So as Crypto Dragonis wanted to know, let's ask it, what does it mean by ChatGPT? What does? So yeah, this is how simple it is. Generative pre-trained transformer. The generative part of this name refers to the model's ability to generate new text. Oh, it means a lot. So, okay, let me just read it. Pre-trained parts of the name refers to the fact that the model is trained on a large data set of text based in fine-tuned form of specific task and application. The transformer part of the name refers to the type of neural network architecture the model is based on, which is known for its ability to handle long input sequences and generate coherent and contextual appropriate text. That is what in short.
Yeah. But the interesting part about ChatGPT is it is actually trained in a very interesting way. Apart from a large data set, they do have a lot of human trainers who played both the roles. They were on like a human AI trainer side, and they also played an AI assistant. Then they ranked the responses like will it sound like human, and there are a lot of things done here to come up with this kind of thing. Again, it will go very, very technical, but that's
Hang
something
on,
they call it supervised
not human
learning.
at all. When we talk about human training in Asia, we use a cane or a slipper to train the kids. I mean, this is nothing human about what you just said.
Yeah, maybe we should suggest OpenAI to do that.
Yeah.
So basically, it's crawling the website, the whole of the internet, and analyzing what people have wrote or typed, and then resequencing it and telling us in appropriate way. Can we put it that way?
I think yes, because crawling is something which everybody is doing, like Bing and Google. So that's first easy way. But with crawling, again, there are a lot of ethics which we will, I think, maybe talk more, like what you can crawl and index, because in website also there is a robots.txt which tells you stop, don't go to this page, this is sensitive in nature. So I don't know how much Chat GPT is following that, but yeah, crawling is one, and I think then they have a lot of books and data which is digitized now. So it's easy to feed and train the model even if you don't crawl everything.
Wow. So in other words, you have Google. Why is it called the Google killer? Because Google also scrolls or calls, whatever the technical term, but it'll go through the internet and pick up the links to the websites that you want, and it will show them ranking in organical way to that. So this solved the problem. Google solved this problem of Yahoo or other people before that who were using librarians or physical humans to index the kind of websites or documents which are related to that question. So Google automated librarians' work and indexed or crawl through it using whatever AI or their technology behind it to do that. Now, what ChatGPT is taking it to the next level. The problem with Google is you have to actually read the article, and you may not like the first two articles. You have to scroll up and down, and you cannot dive into the exact thing because first 5 minutes of the article, the person will be talking about something else, and then to get to the crux of it takes time. But with ChatGPT, you can get the answer directly in a conversational way. So I guess that's how we could explain to people who still are not aware or not into IT, maybe.
Yeah, I really like
Yeah.
that. I think that's a very succinct and straightforward explanation. At this juncture, I just would want to ask you, Tanmay, is Divit frozen, or is it just for me, or he's a ventriloquist who's able to project his voice by looking?
So for me, you are frozen. Me, I can see myself and Divit, but you are frozen. But don't worry. The recording is in a way, I'll tell you after we stop recording. But our final outcome video will be a high res, and I can download that. So basically, what it does is it uploads while we are talking live. It will do it at a lower quality because it's also uploading the original tracks in the background. So that's why you might see a little what do you say, blur or something freezing. But don't worry, you don't need to worry about it.
Okay, and I'm not worried about it. I was just thinking that it's quite interesting. We are all frozen in time for different people. It's like, yeah.
So David, don't tell me I'm frozen for you. Am I?
No, I can see both of you really good.
Okay.
He's a tech
full
person,
then.
he's mastered this. So he's obviously using some crazy really good graphic card or something. But I really love your explanation over there, Tanmay, because I think one of the most like when you were saying how Google has been doing indexing in a certain way, and ChatGPT kind of like cuts through the BS and gives you exactly what you need. But we also do have to understand that ChatGPT is trained only till 2021. So if you were to ask it any questions after that, then it might suffer or tell you in your face that, hey, guess what? I'm not trained to answer your question. But if you look at like recipe sites, right? Every time I go to a recipe site and I want to learn a new recipe, this person who posts this spends like for about 15 minutes, you got to go through reading about the person's life. And then if they like it, they'll actually post about the exact ingredients that's involved. So ultimately, with ChatGPT, you cut across the BS and dive straight into what you need.
Absolutely. I was just wondering, as you were talking, it only scrolls on text, right, so far. But there is so much content that we consume in the form of audio and video and YouTube. So maybe Chat GPT 4 or 5 or 9 would maybe analyze even videos and give video content. Imagine just like text, there's an actual bot giving you with lip sync and all the video content what you need to see.
Yeah,
Does that
and
scare you
things
or
are,
excite you?
no, this is happening actually.
Yeah, it's
Somebody
happening. Yeah.
shared a link with me. Yeah, sorry, Dragonis.
No, go ahead, Divit. I was waiting for you to answer. You're the tech person, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. So what I was saying is now even there are camera softwares which are in development. I think NVIDIA is doing that. That let's say I'm talking to you, I'm not looking at the right position. So that camera will automatically fix the eyes and those things and will bring it in place. So that is, I think, already released.
It is, and there's also your podcast AIs, audio AIs, which will learn your voice, Tanmay. And then what happens is after a few minutes of interacting with them, they just need to understand your accent and the kind of words that you use, your vocabulary. All of us have very unique fillers. Some of us say, some of us say, honestly, and once the AI actually learns all of that, you don't even need to be there. You basically upload all your questions that you need, and or sometimes even not then, and the AI could potentially do a podcast instead of you being in place.
That's actually happening. I saw a recent video. Let me pull up the name of it and tell you. Till then, I'll just tell you that AI, which is already being used in this podcast. So we have three different people talking, right? There are three different audio and video tracks. But when the final video comes out, I don't have to do anything. If it was not that, I've used different softwares where they don't have AI. Either I have to put it side by side the videos or maybe cut through parts, and it's a lot of manual work. What this AI does is, as the viewers can see on the screen, it will only show you the image of the person who's talking, and the other people are minimized on one corner. So that's all being done by AI. So that's already being done. A lot of things are being done. We need to keep what do you say? You cannot hate it, you cannot love it, but you can hate it and love it, but you cannot ignore it. That's what I would say. So till I fetch those that exact specific link, I'll lead the conversation to the next topic. We are seeing this disruption, right? What do you think of the threats, as Crypto Dragonis was talking about, the admin and the copywriting systems, or what? And there are some threats in the IT field also, like for BPO. So I would love to ask both of you individually in your industries, what threats do you see with technology like this?
All right, let me take this one first. Because I started the conversation that way. It's a topic in ad space, a topic in creative space. Jobs are getting stolen. Do we still require copywriters anymore? And one of the things that I tell my peers or colleagues who think that way is these conversations have kept happening like for as long as advertising had existed. When Grammarly, as the most recent example, came into play, then a lot of people who actually make a living by copy correction and editing texts, they were like, oh, now there's Grammarly. Like, what do we do with our lives? And then when Canva happened a couple of years ago, and Canva was designed by a designer who thought that everyone should actually have the power to design whatever visuals that they need. Then art directors were all like, oh, now there's Canva, and look at that. This person sitting next to me who doesn't have any design skills at all is designing. I mean, what is my use? But after all that has happened, the people who thrived, despite whatever innovation comes into place and despite whatever seeming threat that could be, are people who are never mediocre in their jobs. They were always people who are lifelong learners, and they appreciated the tech. They understood how they can leverage on the tech to set themselves apart. And I think this trend would never change. People who understand technology, keep their eyes and ears open, and who are open to evolving. I mean, this is the story of human evolution, right? It has to do with evolving, and you cannot run away from the fact that some people will be left behind. And I just keep urging creatives to be open to whatever things bring, and use that to your advantage to create stuff. Now, the second part about creativity is, at the end of the day, AI is what we were speaking about, learns from existing content and puts together something that is that could be the best answer for that situation. But artificial intelligence could never bring about human emotions and creativity in a way that things have never been done before. Yes, for example, you can have your AI art tools like MidJourney bring about a completely interesting collage of images or a visual experience that nobody would have thought before, but it's still learning from stuff that has ever been done before. Now, the true never been done before happens over here. So that is something that AI could never reproduce. AIs do not have the best sense of humor. Again, they cannot like create jokes. They could come up with something that they have learned. And when it comes to the industry of copywriting, I think humor as a disruption tool is so very important. And understanding trends of what the topic is like right now today is so important. And that is where jobs could, people who understand these nuances of humanity would never lose jobs.
One additional question there. You spoke about humor and people recognize me or with jokes and humor. Do you think humor can be taught to a person?
I think humor as a concept can be taught to a person, and but I don't think. Now, I don't want to go really psychological about it, but there is something called synesthesia that exists in most of the human minds. And a lot of humor and even creating metaphors have to do with the interaction of different parts of your brain. So when I say, Divit, you're like the sun, I don't mean that Divit is like burning me or he's a spherical ball who is the biggest star of the universe. I mean that Divit is radiant like the sun and he is a life force, is a life-giving energy. And somebody who understands this and is able to create metaphors. But there are humans amongst us who are not good with jokes, who are not good with metaphors, only because this synesthesia is is quite foreign. It's just how they are. And I think AI in a certain way is in that sense like that. But I would really like Divit's take on this.
I will just add one more thing to this. Why I asked this specific question is the very famous author Naval Ravikant. He also posts a podcast and he has this amazing book which I would recommend you and also drop the link below. He says, whatever can be taught to a human can be automated. Like AI can do whatever you can teach. It's just a matter of when. So if you really think the synesthesia part, if there is something that gives us an edge in that way, so I think we can still prevail there. But if anything can be taught, like we teach metaphors in school, so maybe it can learn like that or...
Metaphors. No, I mean, right now at this stage, the AI has not learned. That's why I wanted the Divit's take on this, on where we are going. But right now, I think we certainly do have an edge. And at the end of the day, we have to understand that it's humans who are creating artificial intelligence. I don't think we are very close to a situation like the movie Her. Have you guys watched Her? It's,
Her.
Yeah. With artificial intelligence completely taking over the life and becomes a human being and decides to befriend another AI and they both run away. I don't think we are close to that. It's very dystopian. But what do you think, David? I don't think we are close to AI doing everything.
Yeah, I think humor is a little far away, but I think the way AI works is first you have to have a data set. And as Tanmay is saying that whatever human can learn, AI can learn because we also learn from examples, mistakes, feedback, correction, and then again trying the same thing. So same is for AI. You feed them with a data set, let's say of lots of jokes and lots of metaphors and these things. Then you try them. Okay, how is it responding for this kind of thing? And then you give them a rating, plus, down, up, down, whatever it is out of 10. And then the model matures over the time. So that's how AI is not a constant thing like you do X plus Y is equal to Z. It is a ever evolving kind of process. Same as for Chat GPT. When maybe you are using Chat GPT, it's still learning from you, because you are now the human part which was used before to train the whole thing. So the whole thing is very interesting, and it can go any far. I'm scared about that, and I'm very excited about that also. But I will come to your example of Canva, because that's very interesting. See, whatever I see is whatever machines or robots are automating, then it's increasing the level of quality and level of expectations from people, and level of craft also. For example, if you create a video in Canva, after seeing a few videos or after doing a few videos in Canva, you will know, okay, this is Canva thing. So it gets a basic job done. It has a certain set of limitations, but then when you get a professional video done from a really good guy who's not just limited to Canva, he has his own broad set of tooling, then the quality of video is mind blowing. So that same thing goes in every art. Even people say that Canva can, or not Canva, Chat GPT can code now. So now what will happen is Chat GPT will give you a code, but again the expectation for person will go high, because rather than he spend, let's say, 3 hours writing the same code, he is ahead of 3 hours. Now he can do what he was doing after 3 hours. So maybe we should start thinking in this way.
Oh yeah,
Same for
100%.
your Grammarly example too. Yeah.
Yeah, because right now I think ChatGPT is cutting down a lot of research time for content creators. They don't, and the exact example that you've used, given, right? You could spend like, especially specifically for advertising copywriters, we are expected to write about any industry. So when I joined my previous agency, a lot of the clients that they had was automobile clients. Yes, I do have interest in cars, but I'm not an expert where I can talk about, the speed of something or the horsepower, or I can't go into the in-depth details of what a complete car enthusiast. Like some of the clients that I was working with was Maserati, and I was in the pitching process for Porsche. And you can see that these are like racing cars, and there's a lot of history that's involved with it, which again, copywriters, whether you work for, like tomorrow you might have a medical client, and then you might have a client who is involved as a government client. And you need to have in-depth knowledge about what each of these industries do to be able to write copy or headlines for these industries, right? And that touch the nerve, that resonate with the particular audience. But if it could cut down so much of research time, then I can just, focus on the creative part of stuff rather than going through the grunt work.
Right. And I will take it in another way. So ChatGPT again can give you a boilerplate template for whatever pitch you're trying to do. But how much confident will people will be to take them to their client directly, even if they bypass Grammarly and everything? Then building that kind of trust will need a strong human layer, that this is going to my client. Is it just okay to take something from ChatGPT and make a mediocre guy take a quick look? Yeah, this is fine. And so then I think the expert play will again, I think, be important. Okay, time is cut. We took 10 hours to write a pitch. Now it is 5 hours. But those 5 hours will be very high quality job. Like, okay, basic is ready, clean it up, and let's go out there. So
you just said the expert knowledge is important, right? So let me come back to that expert knowledge. I think when it comes to the ad industry, it comes with years of dealing with multiple types of clients. It's not just the knowledge. It's not just about the education. It's not just about reading. It's not just about industry knowledge. That's got to do with a lot of experience with dealing with other clients, with understanding the nuances of a particular brand, and being very disruptive.
I'm sorry to cut you.
Yes.
If you go to a client, you actually observe the client also. There are 5 things they don't like, 5 things they like, and which is not same for everybody. You have to fine tune the road for them.
But with ChatGPT, what you can do is, the real meeting that you had, you can tell it, okay, these are 5 points that I liked and these are I didn't like, and please tune the answer according to these points that I've shared with you above.
But hopefully they are points. But what if it has to do with personalities? And that's how can an AI learn that?
For example,
I mean, it can be a
If
long
you can
prompt. What I
define
see is, yeah.
whatever you can communicate to a colleague, right? This person was like this and like that. Even when you describe a personality, I think that language, I think you can describe it to ChatGPT and it will
No, but
respond.
what could I say that? Hey, please do not use any car references during this pitch because this person who's in the meeting just had a minor car accident, so he might be a bit flustered by that. How are you going to give the
Yeah, it does that. It absolutely does that. I've tested this thing on few other things. Do write this without mentioning that topic. Write this without that. It does that. You try it out.
writing something and producing it as a pitch document is one part of it, but what about when you are having to be in the room and having to do it as a person?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I think sort of agree with Tanmay. You can definitely give lot of do's and don'ts instructions to the prompt, but I still believe it not be that picture perfect. It can be picture perfect if somebody creates a branch of Chat GPT, which is highly optimized for advertising industry, and then it is super trained with the examples and things which goes on to in the advertising industry, or even I think in advertising itself there are cars and different sort of verticals within advertising. So then it has to be a specialized GPT version of the same Chat GPT, because as of now the data set is already very huge. Chat GPT is doing everything and anything which anybody can think of in any industry. So that's a generic expert, but then probably one has to do a lot of training with a specialized expert, and that we might see.
Well, I suggest that you, Divit, come on, let's work on something like that. Let's just become millionaires, and then yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do ask ChatGPT how to make that software and I'll give you an answer for that too. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
People are
So
developing app roadmaps and whatnot now. I was trying to get examples of ChatGPT before this podcast, so I was blown away actually.
I'll share something very quickly. So by the way, there are some more capabilities. So I was talking about that software which can insert your way of tonality and voice into the clip, and it can be used for audiobooks and several others. So there's a video I found in my research. I'm going to link that down. It gives you an example of more 5 things. So another thing to that was Twitter. So another job of copywriters or people who are hired by companies is social media management and responding to customer complaints and tweets. There's a whole department for tweets. In fact, before NFTs, I just used Twitter to complain to companies if some things didn't get solved or something. And that was the quickest time to respond. So everybody has employees for Twitter and stuff like that. But ChatGPT and that extension of ChatGPT helps you to answer to those tweets and reply in a very nice manner in lesser time. So it was surprising how you can reach, because once you sit down, once you want to engage in conversation with somebody influential or something like that, you have to sit and think, right? So you can now just tell it that, okay, these are the things and I want to give a positive response or a critical response, and this point I don't like and that I don't like, and make a tweet according to that, and it actually does that. So that is all happening. So we'll have to think a step ahead. So when we talk about artists now in the next section, I want to share what I've done with the Blender, and there's a whole topic about artists that I would like to cover. But before that, wow, you finally unfroze for me, Dragonis. Let's go. Yes, Divit, this question for you.
Mhm.
What threats do you see from ChatGPT in your industry, in IT, as Dragonis told about advertisement? What other threats do you see in your industry?
See, for us, GitHub is an open source thing from Microsoft now. So they already have a thing called autopilot or copilot, which lets you write code in any language for general things. So that thing is already started, and ChatGPT is also giving you good boilerplate kind of code that solves a problem. But answer again, I think for me is the same. there is always a need to be an expert, because even if I take a no voice and give them a Chat GPT code, they can't put it on a production server and go make it go live. And the idea again stays the same, like copywriter. If typically a job takes 6 hours, just like coding and just like copywriting, if ChatGPT is giving you a template or boilerplate, then you have 2 or 3 hours saved. You are ahead by 2 or 3 hours. So you do better and you are more productive. So let's say if a software takes 2 months to deliver, maybe you will deliver it in 1.5 months, 1 month. So I take it in that way.
Absolutely. I've also tested it out with correcting softwares or scripts, and it does that. I'll show in the later part. So you definitely need experience. You definitely need human judgment, right? So that is something that no matter how advanced AI would get, humans will be hired to pay for their judgments from their experiences throughout the field, because we analyze in different manners, right? It's emotional aspect. Some things we don't verbally we are not able to express, but we get a feel from looking at that person's micro expressions or even pheromones, if you may call, and we can deal like that. So that leaves scope for humans. So that was my next question.
Yeah,
What if everything? What I feel is everything repetitive can be taken over by AI. Only the creative fields where you have to come up with some creative solution or a problem which has never been asked or answered, for which there is no data. I think it can answer to. For that, we'll require humans. What are your comments on that?
I would say,
Um,
see, yeah, Drgonis.
Sorry, I kind of, this conversation, I cannot help but remember an Indian film called Indian, which was based out of a book very loosely based out of a book by Sujata, who was a science fiction novelist, a Tamil novelist. And there was this particular scene in this film, and I think it was remade into multiple other languages as well. It was called Robo in Hindi, if you kind of like peel back the layers of the Indian film drama and all of that involved, I think in there's the particular scene where it's a scientist. The entire movie is based out of on a scientist who creates an artificial intelligent robot. And basically, this robot would be used to kind of do the grunt work so that humans can go on and create whatever that's necessary, right? Use their humanness to do something that's more productive. One of the ways these robots could be used for is as a frontliner, maybe during a battle. So, or picking up mines, so that you don't have to lose human lives. So the robot goes in there and actually goes to battlegrounds and saves people. Maybe a robot could be a fireman. And this particular scene is when Robo, the AI robot, actually goes to save a girl who is stuck in a building, and a burning building. So she's stuck in the bathroom. She's having a bath, and the robot basically flies into through the window, picks her up, saves her, which is a good thing because that's what the robot was trained to do, and then brings her into to the firemen and everyone else who's on ground. But there is also the press and there's all the public, and she is stark naked. So in a sense, what was taught to the robot was, hey, you need to save human lives, which was what the robot did. But then the human aspect, the emotional aspect of oh, I could have covered her in a blanket before like plopping her in front of all the TV stations and the public, and the girl was obviously she was shaken by it. Yes, her life was saved, but this extra thing could have been added. And of course, the entire movie was through this learning. The scientist then tries to infuse emotions into AI. I'm sorry, I completely forgot what your question was, but I.
Now, talking about Robo, there was one movie of Rajnikant. I haven't seen it, but
She's
in that,
talking about that only.
okay, I haven't seen the movie, but I was like, if Rajnikant already can do so many things, like for example, when Rajnikant does push-ups, it's the earth which is going up and down, not him. So there are a huge. If you Google, there are a lot of jokes on Rajnikant. So he already, as a human, can do so many things. Now, if you combine him with AI, I don't know what will go, but definitely that makes it to watch the Robo movie of Rajnikant.
Yeah, I don't think it's
But
just a Rajinikanth thing. I'm not going to defend Rajini over here, but I think it's a meme thing. Which, I mean, there's so many Hollywood films where people diving underwater for like 7 minutes or 17 minutes or 70 minutes, and yeah, but of course, I understand your point to that is, can robots kind of do like superhuman stuff right now? But I think one of the topics we're also talking about right now is infusing emotions, right? How much can an AI could evolve to undertake human jobs?
like what? I think the jobs like nurse or medical professionals is something which will be disrupted very later on. Maybe, I mean,
Yeah, well,
how
on nurse,
can?
I would say,
Sorry,
no,
go ahead.
sorry. I was saying on nurse in some hospitals, I would say it's better if it is robot because the way they treat the patients. But yeah, I mean, not in all the cases.
And one more thing, you mentioned about wrapping the clothes on the lady. AI is learn from mistakes, right? You make mistake once and will learn again. So once this has become an incident, the programmer or the AI will learn and may not repeat that same mistake again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the entire movie is about. I mean, it's about the AI actually learning from mistakes and learning from. Of course, you know, some of these are very costly mistakes, but the programmer can only program what he understands and or she understands, and only after something happens. Like for example, with Chat GPT, it knows everything from before 2021, and only until it is programmed to take in more information, it is able to give anything more. So again, it's the human who is doing the programming sort of stuff. But going back to Naval Ravikant's suggestion that everything could potentially be done by AI, for me, it's the human factor that's holding it back, the emotional factor. But Divit says that even that could be learned.
Yeah, so there is a thing, but Tanmay, you should watch that movie. In that same movie, before coming to Dragonis point, the same robot actually falls in love with the scientist's girlfriend also. So then there is a fight between human and robot for Aishwarya Rai is the I think heroine in that one. So it's an interesting movie to watch. But yeah, coming to the original point now. So see, every country and I think majorly America and Europe, they have a regulatory body on the ethical use of AI because AI has no bounds in general. You can keep training and training and go and kill the jobs and do really shitty stuff which you don't want. So now there is a regulation in place already. But the big thing is with laptop and internet, you can sit anywhere in a dark room or in any apartment. You never know. It's not a factory that people will know you're building a nuclear bomb or something like that. It's a nuclear thing which might be in development but might come out later. But I'm still hopeful that governments in any country, they don't want the social order of the country and the people to be depressed and those kind of things to happen. So even if you Google about AI regulation, you will find a lot of things, lot of bodies in place already. So that will keep the throttle of AI in control, that how much you can do.
Yeah, with whatever the movie that we're talking about right now, and it's based. I did mention it's based out of a book written by Sujata, and this was a book that's written back in the 1970s, and it was set for year 2020. And it's just so interesting that we are actually having this discussion right now, because when the book was written back in 1970s, like a self-learning AI, and this was an era that we
Wow.
see before your televisions and mobile phones, and how is Sujata was able to explain self-learning AI back in the 1970s as a book. It's quite interesting, but I do believe like around the 1960s and 70s, I'm a huge like sci-fi novel fan, and the projections that they have made during that time, and we are living it right now. It's super surreal.
Talking about another movie, have you watched Ex Machina?
Yeah, Ex Machina. Yeah.
Yeah, Ex Machina. So in that, that's also AI, right? Human emotions. She makes use of all the human emotions and falls in love and makes that person fall in love with her.
Yeah.
And then makes him believe how true is she, and has that good connect, and then traps him and escapes as an opportunity she finds.
Yeah, just AI using emotions as manipulation tool, because obviously they do not have the morality that's involved with it. And it kind of a similar theme with even this Robo film, Indira film as well, where the robot falls in love with the creator's girlfriend, because there's no morality that's involved. There's no thing that's stopping and saying that, hey, this is my creator's partner and I should draw a line, because that's when the entire moral thing comes into play as well.
I was just thinking, AI should be trained on Bhagwat Gita. Have you read the stories in it, or any
I'm
chance
aware
you've
of it.
got?
Yeah.
So in that, it's so complex. It's not like Bible or Quran where it has commandments and do this only and don't do this. It has like sometimes Krishna says one thing, and then in the second conversation he'll just twist it around and say the opposite of one thing. So
he sounds
of
like
course
an
that's
advertiser. Krishna sounds like an advertiser.
Well, he's the god. Advertising how humans should be. But what I'm trying to say is, it's so complex, and what I get out of it is basically you should know what to do in what situation. It's not always one square. I mean, everything fits in one kind of cookie cutter sort of thing. So it will be interesting if somebody, viewers, if you're listening to this and if you're into tech, please train AI on Bhagwat Gita. I would love to see the outcome of that. So,
But do you want
about
to
this,
ask Chat GPT about that? Maybe he knows Bhagavad Gita. I should not say he. Who is Chat GPT? He
Yeah.
or she?
hey, gender, we should be
They
gender
know.
neutral, man. Come on.
Yeah,
There
that's
are a
what
lot
I
of feminist
worried.
movement rising. So,
No, yeah, totally.
So why I said this, because Dragonis mentioned a point about morality. How do we get morality? How do we know what is right or wrong? Maybe by things. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a question I want to ask.
I do want to say before I throw it back to Divit, our morality is not binary, and coding is binary. It's ones and zeros, and you got the if and the then and the nots. But with morality, it really it depends on the specific regions you're from, the upbringing that you got, the time that you live in, and who your siblings were. And morality, like human experiences, shape morality, and they are shaped by different regions, different times, different religions, and so many factors, even environments. That's why for the longest time, even when it came to AI, it was created by white men. Back in the day when we started looking at how the computer industry was formed, right? And there was a huge issue when Apple launched their face detection. And the face detection just wasn't good to detect Asian faces and Latino faces and Black faces, because it just could not differentiate the facial features. And then, you start understanding why there need to be more women in the development team, people from multi-cultures who are part of development. And I think that sort of applies to teaching AI what it needs as well. But with morality, like, how are we going to distill the entire thousands of years of human experience and teach AI those nuances? Because no one person is able to do that. If no thousands of people wouldn't be able to do that either.
Yeah, that's
Divit?
a interesting take. Yeah, I would say, see, if we talk about morality or ethics in terms of, let's say, a particular religion, a particular country, even in India, there are different ethical codes within a country. You will find it varying with the states within India only. We don't need to go too far. So the thing is, then from AI and tech standpoint, I see that there is a version of ethical manuals. Like, okay, you want a Brazilian guy with Brazilian ethics, and that's the kind of AI humanoid or bot you want to create that acts according to that. So there will be multiple terabytes or petabytes of data which will be ready and which will train that kind of person based on that kind of ethics. Then there can be, let's say, an Indian kind of thing. There can be an American, British kind of ethical code and behavioral code. So it can be, I think, to a good extent, simulated and replicated. But again, if we take us on ourselves also, we consume these kind of information. This is information which came to us since childhood, and we gradually learned on that. And same mistake, correction, remarks, behavior. So same as those things. Those things can be structured. Those certain set of events, it can be created into a data. So that's why I was mentioning this regulation thing. Somebody has to regulate to which extent AI can be trained, and that's where if you see there are, I mean, strange. War happening between government and AI companies. Like Elon Musk is troubled at times. So it will go, I mean, crazy easily if it is not regulated that way.
But then again, who is going to be the regulator? Are we going to pick every single person from every single state and every single country to do the regulation? I mean, who does it then?
No, there are already government bodies. I need to find, let me Google, because I think major countries like US, the European Union, Canada, UK, I think they do have that bodies which are controlling these kind of things, and other countries are still yet to come up with those kind of protocols and things that what you allow. Because if you see, like, if everybody is jobless, then economy will go down. Because if the work is done in less amount of time, that whole tax structure, the whole thing in which the money rotates, it will come to a halt. And we have a lot of people, they have to do something.
About the jobs, I don't think they'll be completely out, because on one side you see it making things easier, but there also you hear complaints on people not able to find labor force or technically qualified people for the job. So there's scarcity of jobs also, and like
Yeah,
nurses or doctors or some field where you need your judgment, if AI can be used to reduce their time in filing and some monotonous things like that, in which they have to spend most of the time in billing or whatever it is works, they can spend more time with the patients.
yeah, man. I mean, I will not say it will go like completely jobless kind of situation, but it depends on regulation. I think so far, even these companies are very particular that not to give such a strong message that we are too powerful. You have never seen Chat GPT come in that way, because they know that if they advertise themselves in that way, then the human rights will be the biggest backslash they will face. And even the governments and people, my bots will never vote unless we make bots the citizen. So it's the same people like us who will vote and keep them in power.
What do you think is the threat? Is the smartness of AI a threat? Why do you need the regulation?
Because it has no bounds. Like, you can train and code, and the tech, the way it is evolving, there is literally no bounds. So somebody has to regulate. Okay, how much you can train, how much you can automate.
So there's one social problem or the question that comes in, it is trained on what humans speak, right? And humans are of all types. There are a lot of polarized opinions and hate speech also available on the internet. So what do you think, David? How is it trained to avoid such hate speech? How does it know this is a hate speech or this is not, and then try to
That
avoid?
the Dragonis will tell, because there is already so much sentiment analysis happening in advertising industry and all the campaigns which we do. First thing I think these guys check is what's the sentiment of a social post and whatever they are doing. So Dragonis, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I guess again it comes down to cultural nuances, and for me, I think right now Chat GPT. Do any of you guys like know where's the founder based out of? Like, is it a US
OpenAI,
company?
I think it's America, most probably America. All good softwares are in America.
Elon Musk owns OpenAI.
All good software.
I think part of that. Yeah,
See,
I mean, that's a risk also, but that's a different
ChatGPT wouldn't
topic of
say
discussion.
that. ChatGPT wouldn't say that all good softwares come out of America. But yeah, so if you look at how we have most softwares in the world that are widely used right now are made by American people or American organization or American companies. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen anywhere else in the world, but a lot of stuff that we are familiar with happens from that part of the world. And I think that itself is a huge problem. We should start using and for a very long time, actually, for a country like China, they had put bans on a lot of softwares. There's only a certain kind of apps that you could download on your phone and actually use it. But they started creating some phenomenal, like you see some phenomenal tech that comes out from that part of the world, which we rarely even hear about. Even before Instagram, even before Facebook, China had apps which integrated chat, payment, and shopping, social media into one app. And this came out of the Western world like years and years later. So for me, like even when it comes down to regulation and preventing the use of certain languages, preventing the use of certain terms and words, it boils down to who are we going to put as custodians of this learning process. I have no answers for it. I'm throwing out the question.
Yeah, actually, you brought so many good points. I'm processing all of them. So I really liked your China point because many people don't know about it. China is really smart because Apple, Google, Microsoft, your mobile, laptop, everything is covered. So if people go anti-US, then you will face consequences like Russia is facing, Iran is facing. And again, it's just like 3-4 major softwares I'm talking about. Even if you talk about any other app you are using, it is majorly US. So China was very smart. They blocked Google first because that's a big thing. Then they control the social media first. And what Dragonis is saying is really correct because their apps are really at par and maybe beyond what these American giants are shipping. And Dubai and UAE are also on same track. They are not letting you do WhatsApp audio calls and things. So they are very particular about how much people are exposed by sharing the data, who is the custodian, as she was asking. So this is again a very, very deep topic, but a lot of good points raised by her.
So quick output from what I was searching on Chat GPT in the background. First of all, about Bhagwat Gita. Yes, yeah, it has read it already. So it is telling, it has just read it. It can tell you which paragraphs and what is the meaning. I actually asked it, what is the most famous para in the Bhagwat Gita and what is the meaning of that? So it told me that. Then I went full on philosophical on it. What is truth? I asked her. And then it gave me a mind-blowing answer for what is truth also. So it gave me truth in terms of philosophy, in terms of science, in terms of religion. So all these, I'll add a PDF of this in the description who want to go ahead and read it further, like what are the results of that. But also, as I had asked earlier, how it avoids offensive content or biased content, it has given an answer for that too. OpenAI uses a combination of techniques to prevent offensive or biased content from being generated by the model. These techniques include fine-tuning the model on diverse training data, using techniques like history conditioning to ensure contextuality, appropriate response, and monitoring the model's output during deployment. How would you break that down, Divit?
I'm not able to get all of it. You were a little quick, but that
Let me
sounds
repeat.
amazing, man.
It sounds amazing.
No,
Yeah.
but do ask Tanmay, instead of repeating that, do ask Chat GPT to summarize that into layman's terms. summarize that
Yeah.
into.
Yeah, good idea. Wow.
Let's see whether it can do that. But Divit, let me ask you, while Tanmay is doing that, let me ask you: do you ever see live learning happening with AI tools? Because right now it's only learned and the information is uploaded or set to a particular date or whatever it is. But do you see live learning that's happening
Live learning, you mean as you go?
as you go? Yeah, as we
Yeah, so I
said.
think your mobiles are actually doing that. So the reason I was saying is these smart devices, so they actually are studying everything, like the time you pick up the device, how much time you spent on it, what is your behavior of apps, what is your timing of using things, what kind of apps you are using. So these are real powerful data points which they are collecting already. So they're on the fly learning all the time. Even like if you see these again, it goes down to ad industry. People now don't keep their mobiles in their sensitive conference rooms or any places where they have a good discussion going on, because they see ads related to, let's say they talk about sugar, so they will see ads related to sugar Insta reels and sugar Facebook ads and same thing. So it's, I think, already a live learning all around, from smartphones, from apps.
So Chat GPT did give out an answer to that, which I'll put it in that, what do you say, in the document, because on this podcast, as I mentioned in the last episode, we want to have discussions that and information and insights that you won't find on Google and Chat GPT. So the human touch, or what we are thinking right now. So let's go to the next question. What do you think about education with Chat GPT coming in the perspective? And I would love to give a shout out to Dr. Shariu Bhakre, who is an amazing mentor of mine, a college teacher on entrepreneurship. So she asked me this question on this. So this is dedicated to you, ma'am. I'm sure you're looking at it. So education, what I've seen or what I think is going to be disrupted is students just asking Chat GPT for the assignments and it giving out the answer, and then they copy pasting it. So this can happen, right? Solving their sums. Like, in simple terms, if you give a calculator to a person, a child who is in first or second grade, who has to learn to calculate, but he can just ask Alexa or calculator to do 2 plus 2 for him. So what is the role of education system here now? What should we be teaching the future generation?
Dragonis, you want to go or should I?
No, go ahead with it.
Okay. So see, what I see is this ChatGPT thing is already banned in colleges somewhere. There's already a lot of news floating that students in schools and colleges, they are getting their assignments done by ChatGPT, and people already developed a software which detects if a particular piece of answer is given by ChatGPT, so that they can easily cancel out and detect, because it's for a human, it is a lot to read and process. That if an essay is coming out of ChatGPT, if it is, let's say, a poem related assignment for a student, they get a poem done by ChatGPT. So there are already softwares which are doing that. So I think education should limit, because if we in general see na, so we are already getting dumb. We previously used to calculate in our mind, we used to memorize phone numbers, and we actually now, if we think like the way Google is helping us write emails, ChatGPT is helping us write documents. So the confidence and smartness and the promptness we have to do certain tasks, it will be reduced. I'm saying we will go ahead, but again, we will be too much dependent, and our mind will not be that sharp to do some basic things which we can do very quickly. So for childs, I think our kids who are into schools and colleges, it is super risky. Like ChatGPT can solve math problems easily, complex ones. So if they actually get into that kind of zone that, okay, yeah, bring it on, teacher, let me do that. So then it is a big risk. But the good thing about the AI based learning is, if books are fed into ChatGPT, some guy is not having a good bond, a good way to grasp what a teacher is saying, maybe because of a language barrier or anything else. If ChatGPT can summarize in a human way, maybe we get a voice to Chat GPT, then I think these integrations are possible because Chat GPT has API also. That is the beautiful side of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I also, just to add on to your point, Divit, I think students are always going to be a step ahead of the teachers and the education system, because that's what students are. They evolve like so much quicker. And this has happened to us when we were in school days. And I hated going to lectures because I would be like, okay, whatever this person is teaching me right now, I could like just Google and find out, like, why am I even sitting here? Why am I here? Why am I wasting 2 hours right here when you're showing me something that I could Google and search it? And back in that day, people were not really using search engines effectively. So there were students who were sat in the classrooms and half of them sleeping or whatever it is. It is, I think a lot of responsibility lies with parents and teachers to be aware of emerging technology. And just like how students are a step ahead, why aren't the teachers a step ahead as well? So when you're issuing out these papers or questions, then if the teacher had said like, hey, these are your assignments, but don't use Chat GPT, even if when a student actually uses it, that's. So that interaction, I think that learning process is not happening with schools taking things for granted. Syllabus stays the same for like decades. People are still learning the same things that they have learned for years, and evolution in education just has to happen quicker. And there was a time when students were not allowed to bring in calculators to school. And then it took a lot of time for people to realize, you know what, no matter how much we're going to ban this, people are going to find ways to sneak in a calculator. So let's teach stuff that's okay to use calculators, but then there's something beyond that as well. And that's going to be an evolving discussion. Yeah.
No, that's very well said. And again, colleges, if they even say that don't use ChatGPT, that will provoke a student. Okay, if they don't know what is ChatGPT, they will definitely do that. Some colleges actually now are forcing students to complete assignments within college, and they have blocked the ChatGPT site. But again, it's not a scalable model. Something else has to be done. As you said, probably lecturers or teachers have to move a little ahead and be a little more smart about what they are.
Yeah.
Teaching
I would say, you know what, this is your assignment. Please use Chat GPT to complete your assignment, but I'm still going to pick the better assignment out of it. Like, go ahead, use Chat GPT, and I'm going
that will be competitive.
Exactly. Yeah. So how can you still use Chat GPT, use AI, use MidJourney, use whatever it is that you want to use, but I'm going to pick out an assignment that stands apart. And that student will always find a way. I think this was a quote by Bill Gates, if I'm not wrong, or was it Steve Jobs? I don't really remember. But it was like, I am smart. I'm paraphrasing this, but I'm smart because I'm lazy. Or I hire somebody who is lazy because they'll always find shortcuts.
You will find an easy job, easy ways of shortcuts. Yeah. I think it's Bill Gates. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's Bill Gates.
So look at that. I mean, the smartest students are always going to find shortcuts. They're always going to, but there is always a way to be. I wouldn't say smarter than them, but wiser than them, because the wiseness comes from experience. And if teachers and schools arm themselves with being open to emerging tech, then we have a win-win situation.
No, I love that answer. Imagine there are 50 students all using ChatGPT. How many unique answers ChatGPT can give? Then they have to go to again Google or whatever they do, to books.
Or maybe they will be asking their parents, their grandparents, or they'll be going to old school libraries. I don't know. Or they'll be touching grass. I don't know, whatever it is that they're doing. Yes, Tanmay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of a couple of points as you were saying. Have you?
Are you sure you were
participated
thinking of them,
yourself?
Or you were Chat GPTing them?
No. I mean, I could have done that, but no, these are original. So, have you ever given an open textbook exam? So, in which there is an exam and you have the textbook with you and you still have to give it. Have you given that?
Yeah,
How was that experience?
I loved it because, I never studied for exams anyway. So when they told me, you can use your books to write answers, and then you start looking through your books and you understand that the answers are not there. So maybe there would be a theory or there would be some kind of explanation, a couple of lines that you could look through the textbook and find it. But the rest of it was just up to you.
So basically it implied that you still had to read the textbook before coming to know where to look for.
No, exactly. I mean, you wouldn't want to keep going through 500 pages and waste time with that, right? But I guess then the education system in Singapore got a bit smarter because people are anyway bringing in notes, and mostly these would be theories and stuff that people couldn't remember. Let's just allow them to bring the textbooks in.
So then in the same way, if you're giving exam with Chat GPT, how would you increase the complexity? So what I thought was, main skill you need for Chat GPT is knowing what to ask. It has the answers, but if you don't know what to ask, what answer will you get? So I think teachers will have to train on what is the right question to be asked, or those kind of analytical thinking, what is the problem, identifying the problem first and then solving it. There's this quote, Mukesh Ambani was telling about his Stanford experience. He had an amazing teacher who allocated marks not on the basis of solving problem. He said 50% of the marks is the quality of the question that you find for the problem, and then the solution that you find for the problem. And this was an entrepreneurship course. So isn't that how we make wealth or entrepreneurship is finding the problem in the society and then solving it. So the question comes before the answer. I think that will remain an integral skill to learn. And it's high time for the education system to change. Stop making us read and memorize text, getting information is very easy. There's no point in memorizing it. But what to do with the information you get is the thing that we need to learn, right? This is the problem, and I have all this information on how to apply it. Many times we have been Googling for solutions, right? But still we need to analyze from different articles, and you might have to do that for writing your script or your copy for ad or whatever it is, and then define it in your own way and write it out. So that will remain, and this is a high time to change this streams, okay? Science, commerce, arts, which is there in India. It needs to be multidisciplinary. You cannot pull all people in one basket sort of way. Or for students to teach what they want to learn in a way. So I want to quote Elon Musk on this. Elon Musk started his own school, like many other things he does. He started his own school for his students, for his kids. Now there are 20 students in it. It's called Ad Astra, and there are no grades in it. All age groups are in one classroom, and they teach what the child wants. Somebody is more inclined to music or math or whatever. They teach it in that way. And the final way he concluded that was, we don't want to teach tools. We want to teach how to use the tools. So these are, what are your thoughts on this?
Divit, you want to take this first?
No, after you, Dragonis.
Or did you go speechless?
Yeah, I guess, bringing back to the point of the smart people, those who are not mediocre will always find a way to set themselves apart, and not because they're intentionally doing it, they're just built to do it. A lot of the things that we are understanding right now as human beings, like emotional quotients, EQ, we've always been a society that was focused on IQ, because that is how we have been for 200 years. Post-war, a modern society and education is built on having people boxed up and trying to get tasks done as quickly as possible. And hence we have that 9-to-5 job, and we have a 2-day weekend, and people have to go through 1-hour lunch breaks. And right now, we're understanding that a lot of these stuff are not even relevant anymore. When people are working around the clock or working across time zones, then what's the point of having a Monday to Friday routine and stuff like that? So even when it comes to education and evolving as a human society, it comes up to asking the right questions. Why are we doing what we are doing right now? Why are we asking students to memorize? Why are we getting students to learn this particular way? And the people who ask more questions are people who will disrupt how society thinks and evolves, and that would, and that's how there's always going to be.
What do you think, Divit?
Yeah, it's a tricky question because see, education, it varies based on a stream to stream. Like if you talk about history, so history class is going on and student is not focused and they don't care what teacher is doing. Typically, like this is how I am because history is not my interest. But let's say somebody takes history, like in Elon Musk kind of situation, they say initially like kids like my daughter, she still changes her mood every 2 weeks. Like now I want to do this, now I want to do this. So now let's say a guy goes into history. Now they're not paying attention to the teacher. And history is, I think, something like even if we talk about India, that Mughals era, pre-Mughals era, and what happened throughout the thing. So these are just the things which you can't memorize. You have to like think, discuss, debate, and then really feel like what was really into the history because there is again no single point of truth. But now imagine like nobody is paying attention in the class. Then they got Chat GPT to get the whole history. Like if they have to write an answer on, let's say, Akbar as a king, they just say, okay, what kind of king was Akbar? And they done and dusted. So then what kind of historians we will create? There will be a Chat GPT historian, which might not be expert because the whole ability to debate, explore, analyze, and put your own thought process, your own perspective into play, that will be gone from the whole thing. Same applies for engineering also. It is not just about memorizing, it is about debating if you're really serious about the craft. So it can be a long answer, but this is the short version. For any stream, it is not just memorizing, it is much more.
A couple of more points. Have you read Homo Sapiens? This is the book by Yuval Noah Harari.
Yeah, Yuval Noah Harari.
So he has 3 books. So the third book is 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. So there's this thought which I really liked from the book. He says in future, the risk is not about which skills you have or you don't have. It's about becoming obsolete. Like your skills becoming irrelevant to the problem, then that is the risk that humans have. You need to make yourself useful because with the changing time and technology, you'll have to adopt and build your skills in one way that you're still valuable.
Yeah, 100%, and we do it right. I think anyway with blockchain and Web3, and if you look at the kind of people that we interact with, it feels like to us that blockchain is just because we are in this industry and we communicate with people in the NFT space or developers or blockchain companies. It feels like everyone knows about it. But, I got to keep reminding myself every single day that we actually are the 1% of the entire world who are discussing this. Everyone else doesn't give an F about this at all, because anyway, it's not even the user experience. So much of friction that it makes onboarding so difficult. But if you look at even the 1%, they are here in this space because they have a very unique quality. The quality of people who are lifelong learners, who are able to question things, who are able to build something better than yesterday, and who are able to disrupt stuff and challenge status quos. And I believe that any industry, there's always going to be these people, and they will stay relevant because they find a way to stay relevant. And it's not because someone teaches them or educates them to be relevant, because you cannot teach relevancy, I think so. You might be able to train the human mind to think out of the box, or maybe we ask questions in different ways. but the survival of the fittest, if you'd like to call it that way, or survival of relevancy, of me wanting to be useful for the next person, it's a very, very human quality.
Indeed. One more point, and I would love to take the discussion to our next section, which is art, how we are all connected to it. Before that, I just wanted to say, in the previous episode, there was an interesting conversation happening on what would you ask if you met Elon Musk. So Patrick from Poseidon DAO mentioned about how he kept his inner circle, or the way he manages people in the company and makes them optimized, like people being so inspired on their own. And these companies, he's CEO in 5 to 6 companies, and these are top class companies of the world, and how he can get those minds, keep them and be inspired. And so this human factor, right? Dealing with human and getting working together and all that. I think this is a pure human thing, because humans are irrational. They have impulses, they have desires. There are many other things that AI may not understand. If it can, 100 years down the line, we don't know. But this is something not easy to do, right? So people, psychologists, or this skill is very important, apart from finding which problem it is. So with that, let us take the discussion to the next chapter in this show, all about art and NFTs. So I want to quickly share what AI has done with the prompts and the things. So first, I'm going to go with Blender. I asked Chat GPT to. I'm not a coding person. Divit bhai here is, and I wanted to know how it is. So shout out to other artists who make generative art. There are a lot of things in it, right? One bracket, one comma, and something you mix up, and you spend the whole day analyzing what went wrong. So I asked Chat GPT to do this, and it brought out a solution. I'm going to share it on the screen right now. So I asked it to do a Python script so that I can create. Wait, let me just share the whole. Okay, window. So I asked it to write a script so that I can create a deformed abstract object. So this was the script, Python script. It also gave me suggestions on how to do this. So I had mentioned this in the episode of Sourcebook where we are talking about. I didn't get that good results, but today it's different. It looks like every day it's learning and improving. So this is what it created, and now I'll show you what prompt I had given for this. So even in the prompting process, it didn't give a simple answer. So of course it wrote the script, but before that it was telling me how complex this is, what are the other things that need to be concerned, like texture, like lighting. And there are many, many more things that artist needs to consider, right? Doing abstract is not easy. So these are his solutions, to which I'll add this also to the document in the script.
GPT apologized first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it cannot generate code very broadly for open-ended tasks like this. That's what. So that, and then finally I said, no, you still try. Even I give some encouragement to Chat GPT. Try this. I said, okay, give me a script of a simple object and then a complex object. And that's how then I came to this. So yeah.
Yeah.
Talking
I
this.
think that's true for all AI tools. MidJourney or anything. It's game of prompts.
Talking about MidJourney, that's the next thing that I want to share.
Wait, I like that title. It should be the next TV series, Game of Prompts.
Game of Prompts.
Game of prompts. Yeah, we should book what trademark or something.
I'm trademarking this for a T-shirt. Rights reserved.
That is going to be one bloody series.
Yeah,
Going to be so much drama and twists and turns and crazy.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Probably more of, I didn't like this, repeat this again, do this, do that. Or a debate on what is working and what is not. So I was very curious. I asked this. I had a good interaction with Chat GPT for the thumbnail of this podcast. So I'll show what has come out.
It gave you an SVG.
No. So this is the image that it created.
This is Chat GPT or is it MidJourney?
So Chat GPT with his better half MidJourney both coming together and creating this.
Oh, you took the prompt from Chat GPT and placed it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I asked Chat GPT to give me a prompt for MidJourney to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And this is what it created.
So what was the prompt?
So this is Dragonis and this is Divit on the other side.
Yeah, looks.
So the prompt, roughly paraphrasing the prompt, wait, let me get to the right question because I had asked him a lot of questions. So it was on the lines, make me a thumbnail for the show today, where we are talking about Chat GPT and how it is taking over the world and what are the other repercussions it's having. So yeah.
But it has to be
Okay,
three people, man. You need to add more.
So I asked the question, give me a text prompt for MidJourney, prompt to create art that shows how ChatGPT is taking over the world and changing the world. So then the prompt it created was this, which I later feed into MidJourney. So it says, quote, as the world becomes increasingly dependent on ChatGPT technology, we see a future where, okay, let me just pull that, keep sharing that so people can see that and tell us in comments if it is right, accurate or not. So quote again, you can see the screen and cross-check with the story of that image. As the world becomes increasingly dependent on ChatGPT technology, we see a future where machines have replaced human labor and decision-making. Create a piece of art that depicts this shift and its impact on society as we navigate this new era of automation and artificial intelligence. Stop quote.
I'm just thinking, if I were to give such a brief to my art director, what would they come up with? They'd probably just walk out of the office because they'd be like, I have no idea what you just briefed me on. Yeah.
Well, test it out, then we can compare this outcome to theirs, what they create.
Yeah, that would be quite interesting.
Maybe you can give it to MidJourney and give the MidJourney output to the art director that I want something like this.
Oh, that's already happening.
That's no problem.
It's happening in ad world, and that's what's causing the bloodshed and all that. Like
Okay.
This is a real life incident which happened in an agency where a couple of weeks ago the art director had gone out for lunch break, and then someone else in the office was not in the art direction department, just churned out something with MidJourney or Dolly.
They were in the tech department.
Yeah, they were in the. And it was the janitor, actually. No, I'm kidding. So so they did something, and then when the art director came back from lunch, the person had the audacity to say, "Hey, where did you go? My goodness, you took a 1 hour lunch. I did this in 10 minutes, and and the and the art director was just, yeah, okay, all right. Well, do
Good
it for
for you.
everything."
Did he get a bonus or did he get more work in return?
What, the art director or the janitor?
The janitor.
Yeah. The janitor is now, his designation has changed. He has become AIJ.
AI. That was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what the Chat GPT wouldn't have done. Impromptu jokes.
You see? But then that could
Yeah.
actually happen in a game of prompts, because impromptu also comes in prompts, right?
Yeah. Let's go on fire. Dragonis is smoking fire today.
Smoking fire.
What do you say? Bursting out fire?
I'm glad I'm just smoking fire, not anything else. Is this a PG show?
No, but seriously, smoking would be taking in, right? What do you call when you give it out?
It's called big fire.
Like throwing fire.
Yeah, either you're blazing fire, coughing fire, blowing fire. Yeah.
Coughing fire. Imagine Kejriwal coughing fire.
Were there not
Dragonis
dragons
must
in
not-
Game of Thrones as well? There must be. I'm sure. Okay, so Game of Thrones had dragons. Game of Proms need to have Dragonis.
Yeah.
Let's go. So, Divit Bhai had done a good thread today on AI art. So, can you give us insights from that to the audience today?
Yeah, see, my thread was based on my own experiences. I will not take any name. But what I have seen is typically, let's say you are an artist, you are known for your Procreate art style, which is very polished and very refined now over years. And I'm a fan of yours for the same reason. And whenever you mint, I just go and blindly promote the work and tell my friends to collect it. But on like these current times, you get to know Chat GPT, MidJourney. So you now mix Procreate, MidJourney, Chat GPT, and you use MidJourney as a base to basically develop on top of Procreate. So now you minted the artwork again. I see your style. I noticed somewhat different, but I might think, okay, you might have learned something else, and I bought it. But later on, somebody else came to me. He told me, this is an AI art. And then it's not bad that it's AI art, but again, the problem which I quoted in my thread is the documentation. If it is not there in the NFT description that this is using AI to what extent, that creates a red flag in my mind, not for the art, but for the artist. That I trusted this guy for certain given sort of work, which is his signature or her signature. But now they use something and didn't document it. And it's happening for not 2, but 3 or 4 artists now in industry. And I see those conflicts and DMs coming to me. So that thread was about like evolving as an artist, it's fine. But especially as AI, it is considered negative. Some people call AI MidJourney as a stolen art, which I agree also. There are, I think, lawsuits in line for MidJourney because they took up artworks of people without taking their consent. So by all this negativity, at least an NFT description can say that I use Procreate, I use MidJourney for X thing. That's all. Then it's up to the collector. If they really like the work, they will buy it. Otherwise, they're free to leave it.
I just wish that when it comes to Instagram models, they always had a caveat in the description saying that I had a nose job, I had a AI filter on or something. So at least people know.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you were saying that they do that. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was
read the
hoping
description.
that's coming. Yeah.
But these days, I think with Instagram, I think it does say that a filter has been used here, or this is an ad, and things like that,
Yeah.
right?
Filters
Filter,
are
it will
used,
say,
yeah.
but what about makeup and all the jobs they have done? Or the jobs they do?
Yeah, maybe, and in the future, that might also be attached, because every job that you get, every face uplift that you get, every Botox. I'm not against any of these things, but every time you do something, it would automatically be up in the blockchain. So it's integrated and it will be mentioned on social media.
But see, there are 2 angles to it. One angle
But
is
personal
one
opinion,
thing.
I find women more attractive without makeup.
So are you saying that you find women more attractive without makeup, but you find men more attractive with makeup?
I've never seen a man, but yeah, let's. But that's a good twist in the story of the game of prompts. All right. Yeah, actually, you should give that prompt to MidJourney. A woman without makeup and a man with makeup. Give that to MidJourney and see what it comes up today.
think we are completely sidelining, but I think in ancient days, men were also wearing makeup. I don't know why they stopped. Right? If you look at the Egyptian carvings and things, men always had makeup on.
Oh, that wasn't the makeup. That was a whole dog's head on its own, like head on head.
That was actually avatars. They actually had avatars back then.
Uh-huh.
Did we lose Divit?
Damn, David got rugged. This is the first rug is happening on this.
That's because you said you like
men with makeup.
So Divit got.
I hope that was it. Let me check with him. He might be wondering what happened. So I'll just get in touch with him. But till then, please can you tell in ad agencies, what is the skill that people get paid for?
It's almost like, why are you guys even getting paid? What do you do? Wow, nobody has ever asked me that. But yeah, I got you. Divit is back.
Sorry guys, browser crashed.
Brave browser. That's what we were saying.
Yeah, it
Use
went
Chrome.
to Brave. Yeah.
So, hope you didn't get offended by the men's in makeup comment. I thought you left because of that.
No. See, that's my problem, my life's problem now, because now man is doing makeup and I'm in my 40s. I prefer to stay whatever way I am. I might want piercing done in my ear, but not more than that. Now, whenever I go to a salon, that's a discussion with that guy. See, sir, you have tanning, you have that blackheads, and you have to do that hair coloring thing. And I'm like, namaste, I'm not into that thing. But that's, I think, a generation gap also. It's good for men to groom themselves.
No, I was just telling Tanmay, we were in that topic. I mean, we were sidelining, might as well sideline to ancient history. You look at, old Greek paintings and, Egyptian art and stuff like that. Men were wearing makeup. And I don't know why they stopped. They were so fancy. They were like dressing up so amazingly. And then suddenly,
because they got overwhelmed with so many products.
Yeah, that could actually happen. Yeah, because there's only certain types of things, right? Multitasking doesn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about makeup, but jewelry was there in, I think, Indian mythologies also. Ramayana, Mahabharata, like full hand and these things. You have a
they always wore the
biceps also.
eyeliners, and there were like colorings and stuff like that was always there with the hand. Yeah, in ancient cultures.
Yeah, eyeliners was an Indian thing. I think West ruined the whole thing. We call it kajal in Hindi, that eyeliner, the black thing. It is claimed to be good for eyes if it is produced in the way our grandnannies and grandma used to do that. But I don't know, Tanmay, do you use those things now?
Good question. I got the same question when I was in college. There was this girl who was asking me, why does your face glow and why is it so bright and fair? Tell me your routine. So I was like, okay, sit down, I'll tell you. Wake up in the morning, go to the toilet, washroom, switch on the tap and splash cold water on your face and just wash it with soap. And do this twice a day. That's it.
Hey, you know what? I've asked this question to my dad because my dad, I've never seen him like have breakouts and his face is like super shiny and glowy all the time. So we always ask him, like, Dad, like, what is your routine, And he'll be like, oh, I never use soap on my face.
But Tanmay, your reason is because you are a chilled out person. But I think the person who takes stress, that loses, I think, glow more or less sooner or later with wrinkles and everything.
He passes the stress to us.
Yeah. You should have seen the stress on Dragonis' face when I asked her that question. Yeah, let's go to that.
What around? Yeah. You got to ask
what to add? What do you get paid for? Like, what do people in ad agencies get paid for? That is the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we get paid for lying, and we got to do it in a way that people don't realize they are lies. So we get paid for exaggerating shit. We get paid to tell stories. We get paid to make things look pretty. And that's what we get paid for. I think lying in itself has always been, again, going back to emotions and the humanness. of stuff. Lying has always existed since the day that even before language was formed. Deception was always there. Even when we talk about makeup, makeup is a form of deception, isn't it? It's a way of making yourself look attractive. And it's always about how the first look matters and how you present yourself, how you'd like perception to be. So we are just storytellers, and we build perceptions. That's what we get paid for. That's where we get the big bucks.
I got
But I
another
would say-
t-shirt idea. I got another t-shirt idea as you're speaking. AI doesn't lie.
No, Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Maybe it might in Game of Thrones, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I asked this question because we know, right, copywriters and all that we were discussing before. So if the ad or branding person's only task was to create images relevant to that and relevant, publicity for that, and then also brand designers who design logo and all that. So if all that can be done by AI, what are the things left for the person in the ad? So when she was talking
Yeah.
about lying, AI doesn't lie. I've never seen
That's why
ChatGPT
we
lie
always
about
have
anything.
jobs. Boom, answer that question.
Let's go. And that's
No,
why the
but-
t-shirt idea. Now you get it. AI doesn't lie. Like hips don't lie. AI doesn't lie.
So, Divit, you wanted to say
But Tanmay, yeah, I actually want to add on Dragonis because I used to take every other department apart from coding very lightly when I was not running my own company. So now we have a marketing department, we have HR and everything, and I'm actually playing and getting into shoes of everyone. So what she said is good, but I will not say marketing is lie, but the later part of our line is very true. Like you make things look good and you do a storytelling, which is very particular and very emotional as of now. And like even if I compare my IT company's marketing strategy versus if we do something in NFT, they are day and night different. You can't use the same template, same kind of images, and same kind of Insta and Twitter post and same campaign everywhere. So it is a fun and super creative job. At times, I mean, for me, coding is easy. I can go type and get done. But if I have to sit with my marketers, plan a campaign, oh man, it's really painful. It's really tactical job.
Yeah, of course.
I agree
Whatever
on
I was
that.
saying was to be taken, lightheartedly, right? We don't just lie to people. But then at the end of the day, if you look at how the human language has evolved, is metaphors is what comes up always. I think it's the easiest and quickest way. That is like the oldest form of copywriting. In 3 or 4 words, you tell a story and you actually convey a sentiment without having to explain something. If I call somebody a couch potato today, we've heard of this phrase. It doesn't mean that a potato is sitting on the couch. No, that the person who doesn't understand the cultural nuance of a couch potato would not get it. And if I were to say, you're the apple of my eye, that does not mean that you're an internet company or you don't have a stem that's growing off your head. It means that, you're a beloved person. And that is a lie. Actually, if you think about it, Tanmay, you're the apple of my eye is a lie. If I say that you are a couch potato, it's going to be a lie because it's not as what it is. And I think that is what, these kind of like metaphors come with culture. Jokes come with culture. Humor comes with culture. Something that could be funny in China might not be funny in Singapore or in India.
Yeah.
And understanding that is a huge part of humanness. I go back to an old advertising ad. This was between 2 car rental companies. And it was done by a very, very famous copywriter. It was Avis versus, I think there was another car rental company. It was not Budget, but it was something else, right? It was Hertz. It was Avis and Hertz. So the brief is very simple. The brief is for the advertising agency to advertise this company called Avis, because at that point of time, Hertz was the most used car rental company.
Car
Okay?
rental.
So Avis, the advertising agency taking care of Avis, had to come up with an ad. And what they did was they understood that Avis is not the best. Avis is not popular. Avis is not the most well sought out by companies. So they created this brilliant advertising headline, which says that we are number 2, so which is why we will only try harder. So we will only get better. So the line was so simple. Avis is number 2. We will only try harder. And that is not a lie. That is the fact. So sometimes, making things look good doesn't have to be a lot of exaggeration. It could be just a matter of, and I don't know whether, an AI could actually write such beautiful copy,
Yeah, it will be, I think, replica of what is already in the world. But I don't know how they can be that smart. Like, as you said, cultural, country-wise, and there are so many local metaphors.
You're mute.
Tanmay, you're on mute, I think.
I love the point that Divit had made previously. Creative aspect. That is the most important thing, right? As he mentioned, knowing the trends of the market and then trying to address it, and being very impromptu catering that trend with that kind of marketing, and using the opportunity of what is happening there. So for example, when demonetization happened, next day the biggest ad in the newspaper, the full front page ad on all newspaper, was Paytm promoting and thanking the Prime Minister for this. So that's the you have to take this decision in a couple of seconds, or within a night. So those kind of things, a lot of psychological aspect also comes in all these creativity. So driving the question ahead about this creativity aspect, I'm sure in IT field also you need a lot of creativity and things that are not just same way. So can you tell us what kind of creativity is required and people hired for in the IT?
First, Tanmay was like, what are you even getting paid for? And then now he's going to Divit and it's like, are you guys even creative? So.
No, I love your question, and I will use Dragonis as a reference only. Previously there was a time in software where you just have to have a simple form, you come, tuck, enter, and you get done. But now UX, how the app feels, what's the emotional language, how it is interacting with the persona, it's a big thing in itself. And just like every ad, every company wants their app to stand out. That starts from the logo. The logo has to be unique, and that means that whatever is done in the world in past, it has to be better and very different from that. Same goes for the app now. The app has to match with the logo color, the theme of the logo. Let's say if there is a kangaroo in the logo, it has to have that kind of thing. So it's a very entry process, and it's not that machine driven. You can maybe ask AI to generate a form, but again, there are so much discussions and debate. Like even if you go to like Apple, like they even discuss a lot about like where this button is, what's the pixel height is it good for this kind of thumb, what's the average thumb size. So there are so many things which even goes in basics UI design. Then again, code itself, what the way code is done, if we keep doing the code in the same way, it is not optimized. The machines are getting better. The way we have to do code, we have learned from mistakes. So again, I will again say it's a boilerplate if you're getting a 2021 code, but in 23, 24, the things I have, I think, learned and unlearned so many times in my 20 years of career that you cannot stick to a given thing. Again, it will be a long discussion, but I think crux is that thing, that it's a very creative thing which we do with code or with UX. So.
Absolutely. The languages are, as you mentioned, technology changes, languages are evolving, and processes are becoming easier. And suppose it's not just about Web3, right? When you have more things coming in like web, it's not just about Web2, it's like things like blockchain and all coming up. The coders have to upgrade themselves to learn that language or that implication and use all those skills together. That's what I'm imagining right now.
Yeah,
So
man, I get that. I mean, in 2022 Jan, my daughter, we are in a work from home setup. So my daughter is taking class in one room and I took a course from IIT. So IIT Dragonis is one of the most reputed institutes in India. So I took a blockchain course from IIT Kanpur for 6 months. I was taking classes on weekend for 4 hours, and again I was getting homework. So it was a fun conversation at home that me and my daughter are in the same boat. And
I
again, I
actually
gave the
lived in
exams.
IIT Madras for
Okay.
English.
Lived.
IIT.
Just lived.
Yeah, just
You have an Indian connection.
no, yeah, of course, I'm ethnically Indian. Probably my ancestors
Hmm.
came from India like hundreds or whatever, thousands of years ago, to that part of the world. So yeah, I and in back in 2000 and can't remember the exact year, but this was quite some time ago. I was producing a documentary in Singapore, and it was about schools and top universities from across the world. And we did cover IIT Madras and IIT Delhi. So I was in the campus and I lived in the student hostels there. So I can understand how, like, you must have studied with like a bunch of really brilliant minds like yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm wondering? Why did you just live there and not study? Like,
I wasn't smart enough. They don't like liars. So yeah.
so you just wanted, so you took that code very seriously. You are average of 5 people around you. So you didn't want to study, but you you wanted to be there around them.
Remember, it's
And
all about the shortcuts. Yeah, it's all about the shortcuts.
let's go.
Yeah, so Divit, sorry, I interrupted you. So you studied blockchain at IIT Kharagpur?
No, IIT Kanpur.
Kanpur.
And yeah, and it was a tough course. So, I mean, I forget now the original flow of things, why I was saying that. So, yeah, I think it was learning and learning things. And I'm in 40 years, I have to do that thing to keep up with the pace of things. And even if I talk about the same going job thing, the typical thing in IT is the more senior you get, you are typically in any industry get more salary, but you have to produce more value also with like changing tech. If my experience, let's say, is in a given tech X, but it is not going anywhere, so I have to see the trends and quickly pick up like tech Y, tech Z, or tech A, whatever it is, and move on. I have seen people who are religiously attached to a given thing in all industries, and then they get stuck. So it's a continuous pressure. I think what I've seen most people in IT also live
Indeed. Thank you so much for sharing that. We are coming to the 2 hours mark and couple of more things before we conclude. So first of all, I did ask Chat GPT, tell me a lie. Uh,
That's what you're doing when
so
we're talking, man.
so
He's not listening to us. He's like chatting with
Yeah,
ChatGPT.
he's
Yeah.
playing with Chat GPT.
I'm
Yeah.
multitasking. And
That's a lie.
so
That's a lie.
That's a lie,
Multitasking
yeah.
is a
We
lie.
know men can't multitask.
as AI, as AI, my purpose is to assist and provide accurate information. So I'm not programmed to tell lies. My responses are based on information that I have been trained on, and I don't have the ability to make up things or be decideful.
There you go. There you go. That's how the advertising industry is going to thrive. Everything
Yeah.
that the AI doesn't do.
But Dragonis, that's how classes will be. Let's say you are a lecturer, I'm a sincere student, and then there will be a guy like Tanmay, you're teaching, and he will be playing with Chat GPT, and then
Disrupting the lectures,
Yeah.
yeah, and you will
telling
suddenly
teachers
come
what.
with a
Yeah, rectifying the teachers on what is wrong and what is right. Are you factually correct or not, or stuff on those lines. So I want to pull back the discussion on art. What are your views about? You gave an amazing talk at a nifty download on AI. So what are your thoughts on AI and art in brief?
I think when it comes to artists, creators, writers, even maybe coders, creative people always come with blocks. They face blocks, and we call it the creator's block. And these are the times that essentially we just step out of the room, go touch grass, go for a smoke. I don't know, whatever is it that people find that it could disrupt their thought process, or scroll through Instagrams. Today, AI gives us a very powerful way to actually disrupt and to seek inspiration or take inspiration from. When you're a creator or an artist, especially if you're creating for the global front, you are not creating for. There used to be a day when you write an ad, you're only writing for people, the audiences in your city or in your country. Today, when you're creating content, it has to be global. But then, as a human being, you cannot be exposed to all the types of art that was done before, all the kind of interesting creative ideas that the human race would have done across the world. AI, because of its learning capabilities, can actually give you the inspiration. So I believe that it could be a very useful tool. Number one, to break the norm. Number two, to get inspiration from. And number three, to use as your partner. And I'm a very brainstorming person. That's the reason I love the ad agency life, because I can sit with a group of people and we hash out ideas, we stick post-it notes and we ask each other questions. And to me, even the past couple of hours that you've hosted, Tanmay, is a brainstorming session. We came up with a lot of stuff. We learned from each other. We unlearned a lot of things. And when Divit was saying, now he works with people from different departments, the marketing department and the creative department, puts himself in the shoes of other people. And I believe that you can use AI as your perfect brainstorming partner when you are asking it the right prompts. So it's a powerful tool, and definitely the power depends on the person who's asking the questions. It's all about the game of prompts.
It's all about the game of prompts. What a way to conclude the session. Dear viewers, thank you so much for joining us on yet another episode of Rocklaz Radio. If you have watched this episode till here, you are awesome. I'll give you that NFT if you want. You're awesome. So thank you so much. If you want to support the show, I've given different ways in the description that you can support. You can be a patron. You can collect the Rocklaz Club NFTs. Also grab some amazing artworks. And do follow our amazing host here today. Connect with them on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and get to ask them, know more about them, invite them, and join our spaces. And we won't go away so quick. I want to play a short game with them. We ask rapid fire questions on our individual one-on-one shows about one person. But today I want to do something more fun. Let's play word association, all three of us. Let's see how it ends for a minute. So me, Crypto Dragonis, Divit, and then again with me. So in that round, okay? Cool. You want to play? Okay, Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Chat GPT.
Oh.
You have to be quick. You have to say whatever comes to your mind first in a word
I think
or
you're
two
doing
words.
something on Chat GPT. I felt you're talking to Alexa or Chat GPT. Okay, so Dragonis.
Oh my God, guy, you got a very important point. Imagine Alexa gets the power of Chat GPT. It would be crazy.
Siri is integrated with Chat GPT. Somebody sent me a video. I'm yet to watch. What's that?
I'm looking forward to that. She is my great assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody opening up a restaurant called Chat GPT.
Yeah. It would be in a metaverse. We can all hang out in Chat GPT. Yeah.
It's a brilliant name. You got two things to...
Chat Chapati, that's a good name for sure.
Wow. And I also got an idea. I always struggled with this problem of having too many ideas and thoughts, and I'm very good at brainstorming, so this could be another channel where I could utilize my brains too. Okay, so back to the game. I'll say one word, and then we'll go to Dragonis, and then Divit. Just say the first word that comes to your mind, and we'll just keep on going in cycle till we end somewhere, or maybe in a minute, whatever's more interesting. So, sure. Chat GPT.
Oh, that's the word? Are you talking to Chat GPT or? Oh.
No. So, what is the first thing that came to your mind in a word?
Friend.
I will say slave. want to enslave AI.
No, now your word was friend. So whatever Dragonis says, that's the word of Divit. So I was like, friend is a slave. Oh my god.
No. Shit. I did so bad, man. Okay.
Okay. So
Okay, can we restart the game? Since now we know the rules.
let's restart.
Yeah, different question, man. It's a big mess.
Okay. AI.
Learning.
Books.
Alchemist.
Sorcerer.
No clue.
Get clue.
Clueless.
Chat GPT.
The right answer.
Lies.
Makeup.
I don't.
I do.
I might want to do
What?
makeup.
I don't even know what is happening here. Wait, what is your word?
So everyone was so stuck to makeup that all three of us just answered on makeup. She was like, I do. And then he was again like, I don't want to do makeup. Anyway, so that's a good end to that conversation. Thank you all for joining. We'll keep bringing you with another amazing hot topics like this. This episode will be divided into further chapters and topics, so you can subscribe to watch the individual clips and crux of this episode. And for Divit Bhai, you told me that I was ignoring and multitasking and playing with Chat GPT.
For sure.
After the show ends, I have to watch the whole thing 3 times for doing the whole post-process stuff. So
Wait,
everything will be stored in my mind.
I thought AI does it. You don't do it.
But it doesn't do the bookmarking thing, no. Like I need to pull out chapters and find interesting what audience might like interesting, and then make smaller clips out of it. So yes, if AI people are looking at this, or if Chat GPT is analyzing this video, please get a solution for that. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.